Hey there, my name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today's topic is tidbits and tips from Heather and A Course in Miracles lesson. I've decided to start this year with spending a week or two bringing you more into my home and sharing pieces, tidbits, aspects of my life on the shamanic path that aid me, that are a medicine to me. So from my home to yours, and then to also share A Course in Miracles with you. So today we're starting with my ancestors and angels altars. I've had for some time now, my altars has taken up an entire wall of my house. And so that's usually the eastern wall. And on there I have all the many allies that I work with. Many allies start with the letter A: animals, angels, ancestors, ascended masters, aliens potentially for some. There are a lot of allies that start with the letter A, which I find interesting. But I decided, from the inspiration of my beloved friend Morgan that recently visited me, to spread my altar around the house. And I've made an angel and ancestor altar so that I have a specific place I come to talk to the angels, a specific place in my home I come to pray for my ancestors. We stand on the shoulders of giants. Whatever you think of your ancestors, we all know how challenging it can be to be a two-legged in this world, and many sacrifices are often made by two-leggeds that we don't see or witness. So I thank my many ancestors that for whatever sacrifices they made that lead me to be able to stand and pray to them. So what I did this on New Year's Eve is I made this ancestor altar. On my ancestor altar, try not to zoom in too much so I can show you. I have my mother's ashes with my mother toasting. I have my dad's compass and my grandfather's medic symbol. There's a feast I've laid out for them, which is usually how I bless my ally spirits. So we have the two skulls. One is made of pyrite or fool's gold, which absorbs negativity. And so then we have the image of my father, who's an organic farmer. This is a turnip he grew organically and one he bought at a conventional store, and his initials that was on one of his notebooks. So he really worked to get people to invest in organic foods. We have a picture of my beloved second cousin, Nikki, reminding me to pray for Leslie, Peggy, Nikki, Taylor, and their families because they lost their beloved mother, much like I lost my mother, and they are my family, heart of my hearts. And then you can see there is Moscato with pomegranate in it. We have an angel here, and then we have a feast of cakes that I usually buy specific fancy cakes for my family, for my tribe. Then a picture of me, my brother, and my sister when we were wee littles, and Archangel Raphael watching over us. And of course, as you can see, it just goes on and on. The tremendous tarot collection. Out of control with tarot, everybody. I've got the I Love Your Guts from my Aunt Deb. So I've got a little bit of something from everybody over here. Pomegranate was considered to be fruit of the dead. And so Persephone was abducted by Hades into the underworld. He raped her. He gave her a pomegranate as an offering, and she ate of the pomegranate. When you eat of the fruit of the dead, it causes you to become bound to the underworld. So she became bound to him. Demeter, her mother, the harvest mother, she's known as Gaia, she's known as Ceres, she's known as Annapurna. There are many variations of the harvest mother, but she caused the first winter. She let everything die because she couldn't find her daughter. She was wandering, asking everyone, and finally Triptolemus said, "Oh yeah, I saw Hades abduct her." And so Hermes, messenger to the gods, the messenger for Zeus that would come from the heavens down to the earth to communicate with the humans, Hermes representing the subconscious mind, the bridge between our superconscious mind or higher self or divine self and our earthly conscious self that's down here making decisions with an ego. He came down and made an agreement. And every winter, Demeter would cause everything to die because part of that agreement was that Persephone would go back to be with Hades. Now I always say my husband is Hades. I've been married to death. I've lost so many people throughout my life since I came to this school, Earth School. I consider this a school of learning of the self. And so, pomegranate, like I relate to Persephone so much. It's a fruit I like to offer my dead. In Egyptian shamanism, you offer the spiritual bodies. There's a Ka, there's a Ba, there are many, there's more than one concept in Egyptian shamanism of spirit. It's not just one spirit. And so there are aspects of the spirit that you would leave food for at the grave because part of the spirit remains at the grave. And so you feed them. So many of my dead don't have a grave. My dad was never found, for example. He drowned in the Brazos River. So I just leave out food for their spiritual bodies here at the ancestor angel altar. So my first recommendation for the new year, as I bring you into my home, is to create an ancestor or an angel altar. Is there a way for you to create a space to where you can go and ask for grace, but also build a simpatico bridge, a like attracts like kind of bridge, where you honor them and you give to them. One of the ways I give to angels is I study their names all the time. Jophael, Zadkiel, Galgalil. I'm constantly learning angel names so that I can tell others of their names. You can pray to Metatron, who's considered an angel and an ascended master, if you need help with your thoughts. You can pray to Galgalil if you need to change your vibration. You can pray to Jophael if you need help with your creations and creativity this coming year. You can pray to Chamuel if you need help with adoration and loving the self. So there's lots of opportunity to teach others about angels and expand awareness of them in this realm, which is one of the ways we can aid them so that when we take a knee and ask for their grace, we've already built a bridge in this place. So that's Heather's tip from her house to you today. Do you have an ancestor or an angel altar, an ally spirit altar? I'll show you another one tomorrow, my power animal and deity altar. But do you have an altar to the ally spirits that you work with? If you don't work with ally spirits, have you considered working with them? Just like any relationship, helps to start to build it, helps to start trying to connect. It's easy. It's an easy grab to say, like, oh, angels don't exist, or the spirit doesn't. I feel like atheism is like the easiest. It's just like, oh, my ego decided it doesn't exist. So rather than being scientific and exploring, I just go, it doesn't exist. And you can be atheist. I don't have any judgment. You do you, boo-boo. But I would say that another thing could be true is you could be like a scientist and try to explore those relationships by connecting, by stepping in, by building a bridge, and being present should they cross over. I have found many things to be in the unseen realm. Here's an introduction to A Course in Miracles. A theoretical foundation, such as the text provides, is necessary as a framework to make the exercises in this workbook meaningful. So A Course in Miracles is a text channeled by Helen Schuckman, a workbook, and a manual for teachers. So 3 books were channeled through her. Could be Helen Schumann. Who knows? I haven't heard someone that knows her say her name, but it's 3 books in one, and you can purchase all 3 books together, or you can buy them individually. And they're saying that the text serves for a deepening of the awareness as you do the lessons. The lessons can be found freely online. I'm not sure about the text. So you can type in A Course in Miracles Lesson 1. Yet it is doing the exercises that will make the goal of the course possible. An untrained mind can accomplish nothing. It's the purpose of this workbook to train your mind to think along the lines the text sets forth. The exercises are very simple. They do not require a great deal of time. And it does not matter where you do them. They need no preparation. The training period is 1 year. The exercises are numbered 1 to 365. Do not undertake to do more than 1 set of exercises a day. The workbook is divided into 2 main sections. The first dealing with the undoing of the way you see now. And the second with the acquisition of true perception. That sentence alone might already trigger your ego. Oh, I like the way I see. But think about it. We're pretty judgmental beings. There's probably some judgments that aren't serving us. With the exception of the review periods, each day's exercises are planned around one central idea, which is stated first. This is followed by a description of the specific procedures by which the idea for the day is to be applied. So you get one idea and you apply the idea. At the end of certain sections, they'll go through a review of several lessons where you can refocus if you'd like. The purpose of the workbook is to train your mind in a systematic way to a different perception of everyone and everything in the world. The exercises are planned to help you generalize the lessons so that you will understand that each of them is equally applicable to everyone and everything you see. Transfer of training and true perception does not proceed as does transfer of the training of the world. If true perception has been achieved in connection with any person, situation, or event, total transfer to everyone and everything is certain. On the other hand, one exception held apart from true perception makes its accomplishments anywhere impossible. Heather Feather would say here, the entire web is connected, my dears. The only general rules to be observed throughout then are, first, that the exercises be practiced with great specificity, as will be indicated. This will help you to generalize the ideas involved to every situation in which you find yourself and to everyone and everything in it. Second, be sure that you do not decide for yourself that there are some people, situations, or things to which the ideas are inapplicable. This will interfere with transfer of training. The very nature of true perception is that it has no limits. It is the opposite of the way you see now. The ego goes, The overall aim of the exercises is to increase your ability to extend the ideas you'll be practicing to include everything. This will require no effort on your part. The exercises themselves meet the conditions necessary for this kind of transfer. Some of the ideas the workbook presents you'll find hard to believe, and others may seem to be quite startling. This does not matter. You're merely asked to apply the ideas as you're directed to do. You're not asked to judge them at all. You're asked only to use them. It is their use that will give them meaning to you and will show you that they are true. Remember only this: you need not believe the ideas, you need not accept them, and you need not even welcome them. Some of them you may actively resist. None of this will matter or decrease their efficacy, but do not allow yourself to make exceptions in applying the ideas the workbook contains. And whatever your reactions to the ideas may be, use them. Nothing more than that is required. So that's the cue up to do the lessons in A Course in Miracles, and here is lesson 1 that we began on January 1st, because there's 365 of them. Nothing I see in this room, on the street, from this window, in this place means anything. What? It's made of emptiness anyhow. That's just a little Heather Feather tip there. Now look slowly around you and practice applying the idea very specifically to whatever you see. This table does not mean anything. This chair does not mean anything. This hand does not mean anything. This foot does not mean anything. This pen does not mean anything. Then look farther away from you, from your immediate area, and apply the idea to a wider range. That door does not mean anything. That body does not mean anything. That lamp does not mean anything. That sign does not mean anything. That shadow does not mean anything. Notice that these statements are not arranged in any order and make no allowance for differences in the kinds of things to which they are applied. This is the purpose of the exercise. The statement should merely be applied to anything you see. As you practice the idea for the day, use it totally indiscriminately. Do not attempt to apply it to everything you see, for these exercises should not become ritualistic. Only be sure that nothing you see is specifically excluded. One thing is like another as far as the application of the idea is concerned. Each of the first 3 lessons should not be done more than twice a day each, preferably morning and evening, nor should they be attempted for more than a minute or so, unless that entails a sense of hurry. A comfortable sense of leisure is essential. So there's lesson 1. Nothing that I see means anything. Fun. Heather Feather loves it. I love it. So today, as I bring you into my home, I'm asking about an ancestor angel altar. Do you have any way, perhaps some of your ancestors are dead. My mom and dad are gone. So it's not just about praying to them. It's about praying with them. It's about having them remain a part of my life, even though they're not in their flesh costume, which gives me a lot of strife if I don't maintain the bridge and maintain the connection. Do you have an angel altar? Do you have an ally spirit altar? Do you have ally spirits? And then the next is to practice lesson 1, AM and PM. We spend 1 minute usually just saying nothing I see means anything. And we look from thing to thing. And I will look at my Course in Miracles book and say, this book does not mean anything. This Heather does not mean anything. This, Sanskrit does not mean anything. This Kundalini does not mean anything. That snowy owl does not mean anything. Now, Heather Feather doesn't have a lot of attachment to her face or even awareness of it. I tend to be pretty disconnected from the physical. However, I have a lot of attachment to Kundalini. I have a lot of attachment to snowy owl. And you'll notice as you do the exercise where you've placed your value and where you haven't. Why doesn't Heather value her face as much as she does Kundalini? Interesting notice. You'll begin to notice who you are and what you value. I hope that we can go on this journey together to do A Course in Miracles. I'm also doing lemon water in the morning, 8 ounces, and 16 ounces of celery juice because I'm following medical medium. So if you want to follow along, those are ways to begin, is to drink 8 ounces of lemon water first thing in the morning and then 16 ounces of celery juice. And then you don't do any fats or proteins. You can do fruits. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to switch to a khichdi cleanse and eat khichdi for 2 weeks and then do a basti. Feel free to join me. I'd love to have you join me on this journey. It's an honor to know any of you watching. It's an honor to know the people I get to meet in my life. If I haven't met you, I certainly hope to. Amun. Have a great year.